So hello guys, welcome back again. I'm Tony Gidra, and I'll be taking you through Metasploitable 2. So I can just go to the next slide. So Metasploitable 2 is an intentionally vulnerable Linux virtual machine. At times I always just refer to it as a web server because, okay, when we start it, you'll notice why I do refer to it as a web server. And then it's Ubuntu based. Like you understand how the Linux distros are made. We have the main Linux kernel, then we have like different companies coming up with on top of, they build a distribution on top of the kernel. So we have Canonical who built Ubuntu. So I think now the team that made Metasploitable, they built it from Ubuntu. But I think that's just a confusing term because now Ubuntu is also Debian. So Debian is Debian. So it's used mainly to conduct security training, test security tools, and practice the common penetration techniques. Okay, I can refer to it as more of like a beginner-friendly machine. You can have other vulnerable machines which you can download on other sites like VanHub, but this one is more beginner-friendly because it's intentionally vulnerable. So there are so many vulnerabilities we can exploit with different tools, and mostly we'll be using Metasploit. So this vulnerable machine also gives you a good understanding of Metasploit. So I had presented this one for anyone who would like maybe to do the practicals as I do them. You just download Metasploitable 2 online from the link. I think I'll share these slides in Shihak's Telegram group, the Shihak's Telegram channel. Then we'll also use VMware 16, but we can also use VirtualBox. But I like VMware because it has so many features loaded. Okay, other than just running like virtual machines, it got so other many features. The setup we'll be using is Kali 2020. You can use Parrot, so that's up to you. Then we'll go down to the setup process. Oh, there's something I forgot. Actually, there's a newer version of Metasploitable, which is Metasploitable 3. But okay, I think this is just my view. Personally, I didn't like it. Maybe anybody else who has tested it out, maybe you can give your view, because I found it really like it's a hectic to install it. Okay, it's not just like the way you just download the VM file of the Metasploitable 20, you just like import it as a virtual machine. For Metasploitable 3, you have like to configure it. So it gave me a hectic time, especially I think I used it last year, or no, I think early January there. I configured it on one laptop, then I went to the other machine, it didn't work. The same procedure I used on the machine A, it didn't work on machine B. So I just gave up on it. But Metasploitable 2 is a good start. Then from there, you can now go to you can now try like testing out other vulnerable machines you can get, or either on ValHub, some on Hackthebox, etc. So I think I'll just pull down this share, and then we can go to setup process. Oh gosh, this thing is like distracting me. I don't know whether there's a way to like, yeah, hide the video panel, I think. Is it possible? Let me try. Just a moment, because it's blocking my taskbar. Yeah, so actually I had Metasploitable running here. I think I'll just stop it, then we can just do the quick setup process, then we can go on with exploiting the various vulnerabilities. So think I'll just shut it down. So I think I'm actually even gonna, let me just delete it because I have the setup file. So I'll go to my desktop. I have the vulnerable VMs, and there are various vulnerable virtual machines which you can download. I have bbox, boap, wasbroken and web apps. So there are so many. So I'll just, I think I just deleted that one. So I'll just extract Metasploitable 2. It comes as a zipped file. Okay, it's taking longer than usual. Let me just show what else we'll be looking at. I think this zoom it's kind of blocking my taskbar. Let me like try put it on the right. I think I don't know. I think that will help us. I'm not used to it being there, so I might get a hard time, but oh, that's better. Just at the bottom, let me see. Hmm. Okay, I'm so sorry for that delay. I didn't know how to work with the Zoom panel. The top was blocking my taskbar. So let's start by importing the Metasploitable to VMware machine. So just actually open it. It's not a VMDK file. It's just like open the file. It's on our desktop. So we go to vulnerable machines. Then we have it here. You have like this new folder, and then you have this .vmx file. So it's there. It's I hope you can see my screen. So the memory, this is just like think of it like a Linux machine, which doesn't have a graphical interface. So it doesn't like really need so much RAM. That's why it's actually set to, you can see the RAM is set to 512 MB. So the graphical interface at times it consumes so much RAM. So the 512 MB is just okay. One more thing we'll do is the network adapter. We're gonna set the network adapter to, okay, it's actually, you should actually use NAT, but I'm going to use bridged because actually somebody else will be accessing this virtual machine. So I'm going to set it to bridged. You can just go with NAT, it's much safer, and or host only. Those two are much safer, but for this presentation, just go with bridged. Then you tick here, connected power on. Yeah, and we're good to go. Now we can start up our virtual machine, our Metasploitable to virtual machine. So basically, you'll see this question, just click, I copied it. Yeah, so, okay. So we'll just wait for it to boot up. So you can see the virtual machine is up. Now we can start our attacking process. So I think I'll just launch terminal as usual. So let me zoom in a bit. I hope you can see my screen. Is it visible enough? The terminal font.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Okay. This stuff is still giving me a headache. Let me see. Yeah, let me hope I'll be able to manage from there. So the first thing that you're going to do, okay, these are all the exploits that I wish that we'll be able to run and finish. So I'll be fast, like I might not go so much into theory, but I'll share the slides later. So the first one you're going to do is do a network scan. We'll use Nmap and Net Discover, because like we want to assume like you're just like doing the normal penetration testing. You really don't know like the IP address of the virtual machine, of the Metasploitable 2 virtual machine. We can actually decide to cheat and just like do the ifconfig, login and do the ifconfig, but we'll just try to use like Nmap and Net Discover. Next, you're going to exploit port 21, that's FTP. We'll use Hydra. Next, you're going to use actually still FTP, but now we'll be exploiting the backdoor vulnerability in the BSFTPD server. That will use Metasploit. Next, you're going to exploit port 22, that's SSH. You're going to exploit Telnet. One, we're going to do a credential capture. The other one, going to do a brute force login with Metasploit. The other one is SMTP username enumeration. Then you're going to exploit Samba. You're going to exploit port 8080, that's the Java RMI. You're going to exploit Postgres and Unreal RSID, that's port 6667, port 36. This should be 36, 32. Yeah. Remote login exploitation, remote shell exploitation, basically all that. So we'll start with Nmap and Net Discover. So we can use Net Discover, but also prefer Nmap because the time Net Discover can take too long. So the syntax for Net Discover is just use maybe root privileges, sudo. You call the tool. We are using this -r to give the range of the IP address that you want to scan. Then for Nmap, you're gonna do two. We'll use the -sl switch that lists host on a subnet. Then you're gonna do the -sn switch, which we also give it a parameter of a host range. And this one also lists host on a subnet. The only difference between the two is that -sl doesn't like send any packets to the network. But for -sn, that one actually sends ARP packets, and it also makes use of ICMP. For ARP, it's because it makes use of ARP if the host is on a local network. But because we know like ARP is a layer 2 protocol, it can't be routed. So in case Nmap realizes like the device is on like a remote network, it will fall back to ICMP because that's a layer 3 protocol. Then we're also going to do the service scan that is Nmap-SV. Then you're going to give it the port number and the host IP. Then you're also going to do the Nmap-SU, that is to scan the Udp ports. So I think that theory is enough. Let's just dive in. So I'll stop the share. With my terminal, I think it's this one here. So we're going to do Net Discover, sudo net. No, first let's see, like I want to give it let's see my IP. Let's just use IPAS. So I have two wireless cards. We have W10 and WLAN1. So currently you can see my IP is 192.168.1.46. So we are just gonna do a Net Discover on Net Discover. Then you're gonna let's do with root dash the range. Then we're gonna give a range of on our subnet. That's .0. Then we're gonna use a CIDR of 24. This one, it requires some networking kidogo. You just need to know like what's subnetting. So Nmap can take quite some time. So I'll just open another terminal, like just another new terminal, and then we do the for Nmap. So we are gonna name this one. Which terminal am I using? It can't allow me to let me load this one. So you can actually move this tab. I wish I knew. So sorry for that delay. So actually nmap has given, let's also run nmap here. We are gonna give the -sl switch. This one will list the host in my subnet. So we are gonna give it the -sl, then we're gonna give my subnet range .0 1s.0/24. So let's, as that one scans, let's also do another one for -sl sudo nmap -sn. Then we're gonna give it the IP range, which is my subnet address. So as that one does its thing, let us first look at the, actually it's done. So let's first look at what we got from NetDiscover. We found like it lists like we have 4 hosts online, no 5 actually. So we have one, we are sure this is a Raspberry Pi actually, so we can omit that one. Port 2020, port 192.168.21, that's my gateway. .43, .55, .60. This is not enough information for me to know like which device we're actually targeting. So let me actually close this one, because yeah, we'll use this terminal. So this is where we first did our nmap -sl, and let's see what information we got. So we have .21, like I told you, that's my gateway. Then we have names.home. This is actually the Raspberry Pi. It is running a Nagios network monitoring tool. Then we have g.home 192.141. I think that should be one of my laptop, I think. Then we have this one 192.168.1.43. It's written it's current, so that's our target. Well, then we got this one 192.168.46. Then we also have this one. Okay, they all have the .home domain, because that's the one assigned on the router. We have .54. So we can omit. We are actually let's see. There was an IP listed by NetDiscover .60, but it's not listed here. So this is a -sl. Unfortunately, this one. Okay, what it does for us to get the names, it does a reverse DNS resolution, because as usual, you know, DNS maps an IP to a name, like to the host name. Now we are doing no, it maps a host name, like a domain, to an IP. But now we are doing a reverse DNS resolution, where we are like trying to map the IP to a host name. That's what it does. It doesn't actually send packets to the router, to the device. For SN, this one I like it, because it gives you at least more understanding like what could be on the network. So the first one we are seeing, this is our gateway actually. .36, this is names form, so this is the Raspberry. Then we have current, so we roll out .43. Then we have .55, and we have a .57 here, and also have this is the IP of my laptop. So we have like 57 and 55. So let's we can let's just log in to save time. Let's just log in on the Metasploitable VM. The default credentials is msfadmin, root and password. Let's just run an if configure. Yeah, it's actually .57. We just cheated there though. So we know like the IP of our Metasploitable is .57. So let's just reset. So the next thing we need to do is we are gonna scan for the open services. So we are gonna do sudo nmap. Number one, we give the -sv. It's the version of the services running, and then we're gonna put a -p. This one is for the ports, and now we want to scan all the ports. So we'll give it 65.535, and we're gonna now assign the IP 192.168.1.57. Then we just hit enter. So network and nmap will start like scanning for the open device, for the open services. So let's just give it like a while. Okay, as it scans, let's also do, okay, you'll realize like whatever the output we get here, all the ports that we'll get here will be TCP ports. So we can also scan for the UDP ports. So let's just open a new tab. So let me zoom in. Dash SU. So we're gonna do it's .57. So let's see whether we got an output here. We still don't have yet. So for UDP, I'm not specifying like the port range because it's kind of slow. So we just like let Nmap just run and maybe pick the ports which it will find. We still don't have a response here. Let's just give it some time. It's taking longer than usual. Oh, awesome. We have got a response at last. So let's see whether UDP is still running. So we have a response. So not shown. So Nmap scanned all the ports. All the ports, they're always 65, 535. So you can see all these are TCP ports. And actually, our aim is to like exploit as many of these ports in this session. So we have all these open ports. We have like port TC 21, port 22, port 23, port 53. Like all these are open. You can look, and also you can see like the services which are they're like running here. We have FTP, SSH, Telnet, all these ones here. So I've actually VNC. This should be port 1500. Yeah, so all these like are like open ports. So in the on ground, like maybe when you're going to like drop a scanning somewhere else, so you first need to understand these are vulnerable machines. So you might not get like this kind of output. This one is like intentionally vulnerable. That's why like you can see there are so many ports and it's so easily like it has so many also exploits which can be carried out on it. So there's actually a way which one you can like save this particular output to an XML file. Then you can also actually convert it to a HTML file which can be on the browser. So, but because of time, let me try and save time. Those ones we'll do at the end. So I think we'll just dive in with our first. We now like have the output of. Let me actually leave that one there. Let's see UDP it's still scanning. So like let's just dive in and start like exploiting this stuff. Oh. So we have done this part, Nmap and net discover. So the next thing we are going to try to exploit port 21. That's actually I love this one because it's the easiest. So we're gonna exploit port 21. That's FTP. We're gonna use Hydra, and we'll have to have two word list. We'll have one which contains the username and one which contains the password. And the syntax is that one which you see on your screen. So like let's dive back and do it. So my terminal, I think it's this one. UDP is still scanning. So let me zoom, hope you can see it. So the first thing we do, we call the tool at sudo hydra. Then we're gonna, okay, no, let's first, we need to have word lists. But now, because this is just a session and we already know like we are dealing with a vulnerable machine, so I won't go deep into using word lists like the ROQ, the big word list. Let's just create our own simple word list, then use it for this particular tutorial. So I'm gonna do desktop. Actually, it created a folder for Shehacks. Actually, should run everything here. Then you're just gonna clear like everything here. So let's create two word lists. One we're gonna call it user.txt and pass.txt. So we're gonna do sudo nano user.txt. So we're gonna use these are vulnerable machines. So we already know like some of the possible usernames and passwords. So the first one is msfadmin. The other one will probably be service. Yeah, service. You'll have a user service. The other one is actually user. And then we also have Postgres. Yeah, I think, yeah, those are enough. Let me actually copy them because we just use these ones in our password file. So this is nano, so Control S to save, Control X to close. Sudo. I saw certain editor called mousepad. Yeah, let's try use it. Pass.txt. Hope it won't disappoint. Oh, it's not a terminal tool. Just saw it somewhere. I'm a fan of nano. So the first one will be msfadmin. The other one will be user service, and we can have Postgres, which is the database server. Okay, yeah, I think it's Control S. Yeah, we save. Yeah, let's close it. Oh my God, I'm not sure about the mouse pad. Let me just cut there. Yeah, we are cool. So now we have like two word lists in our working directory. So let's now like use Hydra. Sudo Hydra. Then the first one is specifies the login username. We're going to use the user.txt. Then the other one is password, which is it's pass.txt. Then we are going to pass the IP of our target machine, which is 192.168.1.57, right? FTP. You must include the FTP at the end. So Hydra is gonna yeah, so like actually you can see it like tried all the passwords, and it actually found 4 valid passwords. They're all like valid. I told you these are vulnerable machines, so there are those like spoilers ahead. So we have the login as service, password service, so like they are all working. So we can now try like to use FTP. So just run FTP 192.168.1.56. So yeah, we have the no, not yet connected. It's not giving me it was asking for my password. What's up? What am I doing wrong? Everybody in the chat. It should have prompted me for a password. I don't know what's up. FTP. Oh yeah, the IP. Thank you. Who is that? Felix. Thank you. It should be .57. Yeah, so we are just gonna log in with the password. We can use any of these old passwords. So in case you see I do an error in the command, please just click on the chat. These things can be at times confusing. And we are just gonna use the MSF admin as a password. Yeah, so like we have a shell, and we can now like execute anything here. We have like a shell on our target machine. So just gonna do ls. We can see we are inside like the Metasploitable. We can do the since info. Valid and valid. Let's just do like pwd. Yeah, you can see like we are in the Metasploitable. So we are done with we are done with like exploiting FTP, but we now like need to exploit the server, the VSFTPD server. So let me just type exit. Let's clear the machine, the terminal. Let's go back to our presentation. So we have done this one. So the other one is using Metasploit. So VSFTPD, it's the default server for most Linux distributions. That includes Ubuntu, CentOS, Fedora, RHEL-based distros, and actually it's also the default FTP server for Rocky Linux. I think you guys know that CentOS is coming to its like reaching its end of life. So I saw like most people are switching to Rocky Linux. So we're gonna use Metasploit. So we're just gonna launch Metasploit. That's like a MSF console. They're gonna search for the particular module to use. Then we're gonna exploit it. Yeah. So let's like jump in. I actually just wrote these like commands to guide you. I hope they are not complicated. So like let's just dive in. So we're just gonna launch Metasploit. Okay, to save time, we can just see which next attack we'll be looking at. The other one will be exploiting port SSH. That's for that it's port 22. So let's go back to our terminal. I think it's up. So we are this Metasploit, the famous Metasploit. So let's start first by searching the module which we'll be using. So we're gonna do search VSFTPD. Yeah, and you can see we have this particular backdoor. You just go read the story behind VSFTPD 2.3.4 backdoor. It's quite interesting. So we're just gonna copy it. You can actually use, I can just like try to use 0 and we'll just be using the exploit. You can see the idea of the ID after the search is 0, but we'll just like copy this one and use it. So so you can see now like we are using the particular module. Then we are like, let's see which options are there. Show options. Oh no. So we can just set the rhost and our port and we're good to go. I think we'll just actually go with the rhost, set rhost, which is the target IP, which is that's for Metasploitable 192.168.1.57. Don't forget again. I think we can just exploit. So yeah, we found a shell, guys. You can see this one, command shell session opened. Yeah, so we have a shell and we can actually execute commands right now. So it's a shell on our think of it like a remote shell. We just have a shell here to the Metasploitable VM. So you can see like we can actually even list the file. Let's see if the sysinfo command will work here. No, current working directory. We are in root. We can change that on to home. So we are inside. But now there's something I want you to know about upgrading a command line session to Metapreter. I'll use one method here, the other one in when you're doing the brute force for SSH. So I'll do Control Z. So it asks you, do you want to background session 1? That's quite interesting. I don't know how you can explain that to an English teacher. Because okay, we understand it. We want like for it to run in the background. So I'm just gonna say why. Yeah, now let's list the running sessions. So -L. you can see we have one session here, which is the cmd/unix. Its ID is one. You just need to understand this ID, because at times you can see where you will reach where you can have like so many open sessions. So we want to upgrade this particular session. There's one way we can just use this one. Actually, they are the same way, only that this one is the shorter version of the other one. Like, so we're just gonna see the session which you want to upgrade. So you can see upgrading session ID. It's using the wait a minute. Okay. Oh, command stage. I think it didn't give us a metaoperator session, because we always use the shelled metaoperator. So let's see. I think it should have given us a session too, because it can't share the same IDs. Oh. Okay, I think we weren't successful there. Okay, at least you saw like we had a command line session, but I think we'll upgrade on the next attack. So we are done here. Any questions before we move to the next exploit? You can also always like ask in the chat. So I'll just close this one, and then we're gonna reset. So let's look at our next exploit. So we have exploited the VSF TPD, that's the FTP server. So the next one is we are going to perform a brute force attack on port 22, that's SSH. So you can see the what we'll be doing. We'll first use MSF console, that's like launching Metasploit. Then we are gonna search for the particular module you want to use. Then we are gonna set the exploit to set the R host. Then for this one we need a user file and a pass file. Then you can see here I have a parameter set to true, that's stop on success. I'll explain it when you're in the hacking. Then we are going to exploit. So let's jump back to terminal. So what are we going to do? Oh, exploit port 22, that's SSH. So MSF console. So let's just give it time to start. Awesome, we are in. So we first search for the exploit that we want to use. We have you can just use the SSH underscore login. So we have true. You can see we have the auxiliary SSH login, and we have also the auxiliary SSH login and a public key. So we're just gonna use this one, the first one. Like I said, you can just do use 0 for the ID. Use 0. You can see you have 0 and 1, ID 1 and ID 0 and ID 1. But I'm just gonna give the name for the sake of consistency. So we have the particular module set. Now we need to, let's see the options that we can use. So one, we can brute force try each password in the current database. We can set a password, you can set a pass file, and you can also set a user file. So actually we're gonna focus on these two. So the first one we're gonna do is let's set the R host, which is the target IP, that's 192.168.1.57. Yeah, we have the R host set. The other one we're going to do is set the pass file. Now let's start with the user file, consistency. So we're gonna set the user file. Now this one should be a word list that you want to use. We can actually use we have the word Linux dots. Let's just open. Oh, will I take you back here to Udp Ports? Okay, let's just do that at the end. Right now we are on another journey. So let me just zoom in here. By default, Kali Linux comes with its own word list. So you can navigate to the CD user, share, and you can see these word lists here. So let's say ls, you can see the raw queue. We have so many actually, even for Nmap. Some tools actually provide their own word list. You have for Metasploit. Like when we cut the raw queue.txt, you can see there are so many. So what I want to do is because of time conscience, because if we use a big word list, it will also take time to search for the correct password. So we'll just use the two word lists that we created. That one is the user.txt and the pass.txt. They are in our desktop. Shihacks, yeah. So these two word lists here, you can see we have the pass.txt and the user.txt. So we want to get the path to these word lists. Just copy there. We go back. Now we need to set the user file. This is the word list which contains the users. So just gonna hit enter. Then you're gonna just hit the tab key, it will autocomplete. Then you're gonna set the pass file, which is also in the same directory, on that its name is pass.txt. So hit enter. Now there was this parameter I was telling you guys, stop on success. Now because it's brute forcing and it might find like several valid passwords. Now when we set this parameter to true, we are like trying to tell it to stop after getting like the first valid password or the first valid like combination of credentials. So okay, for a demonstration, I'll use this one later. For right now, let's just go in that way. Let's just like run the exploit. So it will start a brute force attack on the password. So let's give it time. Okay, as it loads, let's see. So guys, you can see like it opened several sessions. So you can see like command line session 1 opened, command line session 2 opened. Now these one are opened as it finds more valid credentials. Now like you can see, command line session 1, command shell session 1 opened. It was when it used the, let's see what password it used. It used MSF-admin. The other one, it used service. The other one was user. Like they are all valid passwords. But if we just say like stop, we set the parameter stop on success to true, it will like stop after opening like the first successful session. So to exploit it, let's just do like sessions-L to list them. So we have 4 sessions. Right now, I want us like to upgrade a session, because when you get a command line session, it doesn't have like a prompt. So we want it like to have, you see, like we have this prompt here. This one is a prompt. So instead of like just having a blank screen, let's try like upgrade one to a Metasploitable session, because there are some commands which can, like you see, like when you execute the sysinfo in the command shell, it doesn't work, but in the Metasploitable it will work. So we just do sessions that show, then we're gonna select the session which you want to upgrade. So I'll just say 1. So let's see. Actually, to upgrade the session, it is using this particular module here, shell to Metasploitable. So you can see like it was successful, and we opened a Metasploitable session 5. So like right now we're gonna use session 5. So we're just gonna do sessions, and we're gonna do 5, and we are in. Now like we can just run the sysinfo. I hope my screen is visible. In case of anything, just show me, tell me in the chat. And you can see like we are inside the Metasploitable machine. We can run the pwd command to see the current working directory, and that's it. So let's like exit, and we go to the next exploit. So let's the other one was, here was trying like to explain how we are going to upgrade a session. We can actually use the shell to Metasploitable, which is actually like it's like a quicker, okay, which is the long cut, and now we have like the shortcut here, the -u. So okay, maybe the next one I'll use this one, so like you guys can get to know how it works. So I'm just gonna move to the next exploit. So here we want to like to use Wireshark and Telnet. You can see like I'm listing the tools which you'll be working with. This one, it isn't like really an exploit. It's just like to show you how to capture data. So what you're gonna do is we are gonna launch and run Wireshark in the background. Then you're gonna run the Telnet command into like our host, to our host, not our host, like to our target IP. Then you're gonna filter the TCP stream to see whether we capture the credentials that we'll use to log in. So let's So let's launch Wireshark. It will ask for the root password. So we have like, okay, here you just need to select the interface that's connected to the network. So I'm just going to select WLAN 0. So it's already like running. So let's just go back to the terminal, and they're just gonna like telnet to the host. That's 192.168.1.57. Then you're gonna log with the default credentials, which is MSF admin and MSF admin. So we are inside. So let's just go back to Wireshark, and let's stop the scan. We mean the packet capturing, and then like let's just add a filter. We want to filter TCP stream, so TCP.stream, and we can see so many like TCP packets and all like which were captured. So let's look for Telnet protocol. We have one here to our target. Let's see, like just right click on it, then you're gonna go to follow, then just TCP stream. Yeah, and you can see like we captured the logins, the credentials, we have them here. The MSF admin and the username is MSF admin. So that's simple. So let's just close Wireshark without saving. So we didn't have like so much to do there. So the next one which you're gonna handle is we're going to handle. We have done that one, credential capture. The other one we are going to like brute force Telnet using Metasploit. Now assuming like you are logging into a host which you don't know like the default credentials like in this one. So we're just gonna use, we're going to use a word list, the ones which we have. Then we're gonna set, this time we're gonna set the stop on success true. Then you're gonna exploit, just like normally too. So let's do, MSF console. Let me like open two Metasploit. Actually, this one was on. We should have used this one. So we need to use the telnet underscore login module. So we're just gonna do search telnet underscore login module. Then we have one actually, yeah. So we just use this one. So we're gonna say use telnet. Then we're gonna see the different options that we can use. So we can actually set, you can see like in the show options, we have the user file, and we can also set the pass file. So, and we can also, let's start by setting the R hosts, set R hosts to 192.168.1.57, that's the target IP. Then let's set the user file. You can actually user underscore file to, let's get the directory, the watching directory. So it's here. So it's user.txt. Then let's set the password file, which is pass.txt. And then let's set the parameter of stop on success, set stop on success to true. So when we first get the first like valid credential, it stops there. No need to like to open so many other sessions. Then we're just gonna run the exploit. So we got one open command shell session, this one here. So when you do sessions-l, you can see we have a session here, which has an ID of 1. It uses the credentials MSF admin. So we can just do session. Let's try and upgrade this one, sessions, because it's a command line session. We give it an ID of 1. We see there's some incompatibility. So We won't like actually need it. Let's just, oh, I closed everything. Anyway, but that's the procedure. See, time is moving. Let me not repeat that particular exploit. So basically, that's the procedure. Like we just set like our stop on success to true, and we just like got one open command line session. So let's proceed to the next one. We have done Telnet brute force. The other one is exploiting port 80. This is a PHP underscore CGI. There was some theory on this one, but I think because of time I won't go deeper. But actually, I'm just exploiting port 80. So let's reset the terminal. Let's open Metasploit. Okay, so we're just gonna search for the PHP, actually the module that you want to use. So we're just gonna search. Let's just search for it, and it's PHP underscore. I think we have CGI. Yeah, it is. It's PHP underscore CGI argument injection. So we're just gonna use this one. So let's just see the various options which you can use. It's simple. You just need to set like the L host and the L port. And you also need to set like the R host. Oh, actually this one, there was a trick with this one because I think the current Metasploit version doesn't actually assign automatically the payload. So we are just gonna, let's first like set the R host and 192.168.1.57. Then let's run the exploit and you'll see the error that I'm talking about. Oh, it opened. Okay, you can find like in other like Metasploit versions or in another system, you might get like no payload set. For that, I'll need like to set the payload manually. But actually, we are lucky here. Just give us the session, actually a Metasploit session. So we can just like try to run the sysinfo command. ls. I think we still have the problem. Let's like try and set our payload manually. Payload. We have so many payloads that we can set. Let's use I think we want a reverse TCP. Let me show you. Let's see what we get here. Metasploit session opened, 57. Let's try running any command on the we got a PHP session. So we need like a reverse TCP session, which will give us like a shell. So let's try setting the payload to, not here. Let's just exit here and set the payload to this one here. Payload PHP reverse underscore PHP. Let's see the various options that we have because we need a reverse shell. Actually, I always like with this like new curly, it always has some problems with like self-assigning a payload. So like let's set the L host to this is the local host to our IP. Yeah, let's now try like run the exploit. Yeah, we got a command line shell session. So let's try like run any command there. Yeah, it's working. Let's like use Control Z to you just background the session. It's actually session 3. So let me repeat because at times I know people mostly you get errors with this one. So you at times when you have such a situation, you need to set the payload manually. And if you see, it actually told us where did we first draw? You see, it said like no payload configured, defaulting to Metasploit reverse TCP. So like this didn't work for us. So that's why we needed like to set our own to set the payload manually. So we are just going to background this session. So I'll just say why. Yeah, so let's list this currently running sessions. It's session 3 actually. Let's upgrade it to Metapreter. Actually, this is just bonus. We already have like we can already like do whatever we want on the target machine. Awesome. We are able to upgrade and we got our Metapreter session 4. So let's just wait for the prompt and we can move to this session. Okay, now we can just run like session 4. Yeah, and you see, let's run like the sysinfo, and we are inside. We are in the Metasploitable virtual, a vulnerable machine. So we are inside. Let's like get out. Okay, I see it's 8, and we had like so many exploits to carry out. Like, I don't know where we'll go about this. I think Nancy will tell us. So the other one is exploiting port 25. Here you want to do like an user enumeration. You want to know like the word list maybe you have. Are those users in the word list actually on the target machine? Maybe you want to hack a particular server. Now the word list that you have, is it just like deadbeat, like it doesn't actually even have like valid credentials? So for this one, we'll need to use the SMTP user enum. That's it's a tool. It doesn't come pre-installed, so you need to install it manually. So let's just once again start the terminal. So sudo apt install SMTP. I think I had it actually installed. Let me confirm. Yeah, it's actually installed. So what we want to do, we want to verify the word list that we created, that one for user.txt in the past, actually just the user.txt. Are those like actually valid usernames? So actually this one can help you save on so much time, like spending time on your word lists. So on like actually carrying out a brute force attack with a deadbeat word list. So this is actually the syntax. You call the tool. We have like different modes you can use. We have the verify. We also have we'll just list them. Then you send the user file you want to use with the -u parameter, then our target. So let's just go back to the terminal. So sudo smtp username, then we're gonna use the verify, but they're actually different modes. I'll do the --help and you can see them. Then we're gonna our target user, our target word list, the one that we want to check for validity. Then -t to target 168.1.57. So yeah, we did it and completed. Username count. What did it like give us it needed to give us more information than this one. Okay, let's just try and run without root. Okay, I don't know. It should have like listed all the valid the usernames which are present on the system, and like they are also on our word list. Okay, this is tech. Let's like try another terminal. Yeah, times it works. So let's just run here. No, it should be SMTP. Then you're gonna say the mode. By default, actually, you don't actually even need to specify verify. So the other one is gonna -u, which is our target, our user. This is our word list. Then you're gonna do -t, then enter the target IP .1.57. So let's run it. Still behaving the same way. What am I doing wrong? see. The user. Oh, it should be a dash U, not like a dash, not the small one, the caps. We need to use a caps. This one is for checking a single username. So like, for example, if you wanted to check for, let's just go back to our main terminal. Like, for example, if you wanted to check for just one user, like maybe MSF admin, whether it actually exists. So we would have done like 192.168.1.57. You use the dash U to specify a single user. So just try. And you can see we are told like the user actually exists. So at least we know like in one way our word list it will help us. So to check for a whole word list, you need to give a caps. It should be in caps U. Yeah, and you can see like all these users exist. User exists, Postgres exists, MSF admin and service, they all exist. So we are good to go there. That's actually more of an exploit. So the other exploit you're going to carry out is, we're going to exploit Samba. Samba, yeah, it can either run on port 139 and 445. So for this one, I'm going to use Metasploit again. And our target script, it's simple. You don't like for this one, it ain't more of a brute force. We are actually exploiting an existing vulnerability. So let's go back to our terminal. Want to exploit Samba. So we're going to do launch MSF console. So we have like the MSF there. We have Metasploit, so we're just gonna search for, I think it's usermap. Should be usermap underscore script. Yeah, we have this one here. It's for Samba. So just gonna say use. We're gonna give the path of our module. I hope you can see like we know payload configured. So I hope we'll still get a shell. If you won't, we'll need to set our payload manually. So let's see the options that we can use here. We just need to set the R host. Let's just do set R host to the remote host actually, .168.1.57. Let's just exploit it. For this one, like we are just like using an existing vulnerability. So we have a command line shell session. We can verify that one by executing the ls command to list the currently maybe available directories and files. And you see we like inside. And like I told you, you can upgrade the session. I won't do it here because of time. So I'll just exit. So yeah, you can upgrade the session with the command that I showed you guys. You just like first list the sessions. We closed it, but if we just run the -l core parameter to list the currently running sessions, then you use the -u. I'll try like use it later. So we are done with that one. Let's go back to our script. This is more like our guide to know which exploit you want to carry. So this one is, we want to exploit port 8080. This is actually the Java RMI. It's an existing vulnerability. So before I go on, like guys, I can see it's 816. So you actually always target from 7 to 8. So just you can just say in the chat, because I think we want to cover so many exploits. These ones. Awesome, we are done with this page. Actually, just exiting this one. So we'll be left with these ones. So just you can just type in the chat whether we like the time. If the time is so gone, we can just like maybe stop at a certain exploit. Or you can just tell me which of these exploit to run, or do I go on? yeah, just explain, just type your views in the chat. So we are here in this last one here on this particular page, that's exploiting port 8080, that's Java RMI. So here it is. So we just dive in. MSF console. As usual, we are launching Metasploit. So I can see the people have just joined us. So basically, we have our vulnerable machine. We are using Metasploitable 2, and it's actually which we are like trying to run so many exploits on it and execute and exploit all the existing vulnerabilities in that particular vulnerable machine. So just gonna let's search for the module that you want to use. That's Java underscore RMI. Just that. So we have so many here, but I think we'll just use this one. Let's see, Java RMI Sql. Yeah, endpoint code execution. So we'll just use this one. So this, let's see what kind of options it's giving us. So for this one, you just need to set the R host. It's exploiting an existing vulnerability. So set the R hosts to our target IP on 92.168.57, and then you're just gonna run exploit. Did we really get a shell here? No. Let's see. We have no active sessions. Let's try again. Let's run. We're not getting a session. Let me check whether I used the wrong exploit. Oh yeah, I did use the wrong exploit. It should be, yeah, you should be using one, this one here. So let's just run use the module. No payload configured. I hope that won't affect our command line session. Then we're gonna set like the R host to 192.168.1.57. Then you're just gonna like run the exploit. Yeah, we are successful for this one. We actually got a Metasploiter session. You can see here. So let's just list the sessions available. We have one session, it's a Metasploiter, so we don't like need to upgrade the session. So we're just gonna sessions and we give it the ID, and we are into the machine. We can execute any commands that we want here. We can currently working directory, and that's it. We're done with that particular exploit. So okay, there's actually a background theory background behind actually each exploit that we are running, but because of time, I'm not able to like explain everything. But for this one, for like the Java which you just the module which we just used, it takes advantage of the default configuration of the RMI registry and the RMI activation services. So for this one, it allows you like you load classes from the HTTP URL. Yeah, from any just like HTTP URL. So unfortunately, like I wouldn't be able to dive so deep into theory. So our next our next attack. Okay, I'll just repeat, guys. Like I don't want to bore you with so much, like so many things, executing commands, the terminal. So we are on this particular page. So if you feel like time is so gone, you can just tell me and we can just like maybe carry one or two last exploits, then we can call it a day. Or you can indicate whether I finish or which exploit you want me to carry out, then we close it. So yeah, don't get so bored. You can just indicate in the chat. Anyway, now we want to exploit Postgres, but for this one, I think they are fast. I think we don't like need so much. So, oh. We have done this one. Yeah, Postgres. The same, this also, we are going to use Metasploit. Like I told you, Metasploitable gives you like a good insight, a deep understanding of how Metasploit works. So we're just going to use the Postgres payload. So let me launch several like sessions for MSF console to save time. So we can easily be switching from one to another. Oh, let me not tamper with that one. So for this one, we want to use the Postgres payload. So we're just going to use the search button. Then we're going to search, let me just say Postgres. Yeah, Postgres. And we have so many here. But you actually have we always have we'll use the Postgres payload. Oh, here it is. And you can see there are two we have for Windows, but now we know like our target machine is a Linux system. So we're just going to use this one. So we're going to say use exploit. Then we can see the different options. Actually, these ones don't like require your input. So you just like set the remote host and then you can exploit it. Okay, it should be 57. Then just run the exploit. So we got a Metasploiter session. That easy. Like you can now like we are inside the system, so you can just execute your commands. That easy. That one doesn't take time. So we are gonna exit and let's start a session again as we go and look on our next exploit to carry out. So the next one is want to exploit port 6667. That is Unreal IRCD. The same way we just use Metasploit, we're just gonna use a module. Like it's everything like it's just automated, doesn't require much of your input. So once again, you just search for that particular exploit, particular module, I mean, Unreal _ IRCD. Oh no, it should be IRCD. Yeah, we have this one. It's actually, we are just exploiting an existing backdoor. So we are using the use command to like say you want to use that particular module. Then for this one, you just set the remote host to 192.168.1.57. Then you run the exploit. No payload has been selected. No, like guys, I was telling you there's this problem, and with Metasploit 6 version, so we'll need to manually set our own payload. So we're gonna say set payload, and then you don't actually need to type anything. Just click like hit the tab key, and you can see we need like our payload, the path. Then just hit the tab key again to see all the available payloads. So you can see we all have these available payloads. So we want this one, a reverse shell, because you're not even sure that the target has Ruby or Perl. So we want like just a reverse. So just type our payload as CMD Unix reverse. Then now let's we need now, when you set a payload, you need to set your own L host, the local host. So the L host is 192.168.1.57. Then you just run the exploit. So you just sit back and wait. It's taking. Oh, I set the L host as my my target IP, so that won't work. Let's just cancel and set the L host back to our local host. Our local host should be .1.46. Then you're gonna run the exploit again. Yeah, and right now we got let's see. Yeah, we got a command line session. So like I said, you can upgrade this session to a Metasploiter shell, which gives you much more capabilities. I won't do it. Time is gone. So, but when we run the ls command, you can see we are inside the system. We can execute any command, but I don't know why. What's always the limitation with the command line shell? Does it ever execute the Cisco info command? Okay, maybe for me. So we're just gonna abort the session. Oh my, this one. Exit, reset. So let's see our next exploit. The other one is port 36. The other one is port 36, 32. So actually this is just like a weakness which allows you to run commands on a system with this CCD. So we'll use the distcc daemon command execution. So that's why you say this command execution. So let's just exit. Oh. Let's go back to our terminal. Let's use this one. So we're gonna want to search for a module that you want to use. Search for distcc underscore. I think it's something exec. Let's just leave it there. Yeah, we have this one here. Distcc daemon command execution. So we're just gonna use this particular exploit. Use, and we're gonna run it. It's simple. You just need to set the R host. You don't need have so many complications. .1.r remote host is 57. Then you're gonna run the exploit. No payload selected. Again, we need to set manually the payload. So type set payload. Then you just hit the tab key twice, and then hit it again to get the list of all the payloads available. And you can see we have okay, I hit it several times, more than once. So basically we just need a reverse shell, this one here. So we're just gonna add the reverse, just take reverse to our prompt. Then we need not to set the L host when you set your own particular payload. So it's gonna be 192.168.1.50. Our remote host is, our local host is 46. Then we run the exploit. So you can see, yeah, this is working. We'll get a command shell session, so we can run any commands here. We can run the pwd to get the currently working directory. We can also run you can actually upgrade. You just hit Control-Z. You'll be asked to whether you want to background the session. You say Y. Then you can upgrade the session by typing -u, then the particular session. That's I think the ID one. And it will actually upgrade the session to a Metasploiter session, which will give you a prompt. That one looks more neat. So yeah, if you wanted to use a Metasploiter session, stopping to, yeah, and you have it here. You see, this one is more neat than the command line session. No, exit, not exploit. So exit -y, reset. So time is gone, guys. It's already 8:30. So I think I'll skip. Let me just do, let's select one here, which will carry out. Let's go back to one. Yeah, we are on this page. Okay, you have a good understanding how to use Metasploit. So I'll just go to, okay, we're just gonna run like 2 last exploits. We are gonna do a remote login exploitation, and we exploit the VNC because that one will give you like a graphical view of something. So we're just gonna do those two, then we call it a day. So it's a remote logging exploitation. So I think it's okay. Yeah, the remote logging exploitation. For this one, we don't need like any. We don't need to use like any. We are going to use like an exploit. We're just going to use the rlogging tool. So actually, the rlogging was the one which was being used before SSH. Yeah. So previously, this one actually, let's say like SSH replaced rlogging. So we're just gonna. So rlogging. So this is a vulnerable machine. So we already like know the possible user. Actually, we tested the user using the SMTP. So, but let's just try use root, and then we are gonna. Now we need to specify -l. Then you say root. Then the target machine .160.57. So you'll be asked whether you want to like to add it. So say yes, and the password just like hit enter. Oh no, let's use MSF admin. MSF admin. Oh, that one didn't work. Let's use. Oh, I know the problem. The problem is, yeah, let's use MSF admin as the login user. So we get the pass. Let's just use MSF admin as the login password. MSF admin. Yeah, and you can see we are inside the system. We can actually even clear the terminal here. No, let's use. You can list the, and you can see the like where you are the directories, current working directory. You can actually even run the ifconfig command to see the network configuration and the assigned IP. So we are inside. Like I promised, let's do the last one, which is the VNC. So VNC is a utility which is used for remote desktop access. And you can also find tools like RDP. It's actually a protocol. And it's actually an unsecure protocol, insecure protocol. So for security, you always need to like use a SSH tunnel. Then we have others like RDP, we have Expra. So we want like now to exploit VNC. It runs on port 5900, and it will like give us a desktop interface for Metasploitable. But like you saw, Metasploitable doesn't come with a desktop interface. So that one is there just for like practice. So let's go back to our presentation. It should be, oh, here it is. So first we need to like exploit. We first need like to gain access. So for that we'll use an exploit, which is already available. Then after that we are gonna use. Now we're gonna like run the Vnc Viewer and see whether we can get like the remote desktop session. So yeah, let's go. So we're just gonna launch. So we're just gonna launch. Yeah, it is. We have already opened Metasploit. So search Vnc underscore. I think it's login. See, we just copy that one. Then you say use. Then you're gonna. Now we need like to just like set the rhost to 192, which is our target, .168.1.57. Yeah. Then you just like run the exploit. So you can see to give us the password. So all we need to do will be prompted for a password. So the password is password. You can see like login successful. All we need to do is you can just do like Vnc Viewer. We assign the port. Actually, the port is always useful because you can't actually see like the default port of VNC is 5900, but that which is commonly used. But the more you have like so many VNC instances running, so like if the first instance was running on 5900, the second one will run on 5901, 5902. So when you are like scanning a machine, you need to take note of that. So at times you can find like not exactly like the machine is running on 15, the VNC service is running on 5900. At times it can be changed due to actually even configurations. So, or the currently logged in instance. So that's it. So now we need just to go to, let's just go to another terminal and we're gonna do Vnc Viewer. And then you're gonna put the IP of our target. So it's .16.57. So password is password. So password. And you can see we have a window. This is a graphical interface and like a simulated graphical interface of Metasploitable. Like you can see we are able to gain access. So basically that's how VNC works. It gives you the remote desktop access. And I think guys, I'll stop it there. Time is so much gone. So we'll just close this one. And let's go back to our presentation and see how much we have covered. So we have done all this. We have performed a network scan using Nmap and Discover. We have actually done all these exploitations on the vulnerable machine. And we have done some of these. We actually did something like bind shell, exploiting VNC. So, okay, I think for people who have been in the field, maybe you've already carried out these ones, but for beginners, maybe you can try it out. Just just install like something like Vmware. Currently, I think the latest version is Vmware 16. It actually needs, it requests for key. You need to buy the key, but I believe you know Google. So just Google something to do with Vmware 16 keys GitHub. You'll see a GitHub page with the keys, and yeah, you know what to do. Then try out these particular exploits. You can download Metasploitable 2 from SourceForge. You can try like all these exploits, and then like we can have like we can share the fun in the Sharks Telegram channel. So be sure to join so that we can continue. Like if you are facing anything, we can talk it there. Another thing I mentioned, Metasploitable 2 as being a web server, and I'll prove this one by just run the Metasploitable IP address on your browser, 192.168.1.57. So you'll see, let me zoom my browser a little bit. So you can see down here, let me zoom out a little. So all these are like vulnerable machines which you can actually use. We have WebDAV, we have DVWA, we have Mutilide, and then you have the PHP My Admin page. So like these three are actually, they are a good start if you're just getting into penetration testing. So like for example, actually I love DVWA. So the default password is always username, admin. I think admin, and the password is password. Yeah, awesome. So for DVWA, let me zoom in again. You can see it has all these vulnerable pages which you can exploit. You can perform a brute force attack, you can perform command execution, CSRF, file inclusion, Sql injection, SQL injection blind, upload, XSS attacks. And you can also, the goodness with DVWA, you can actually set the security levels. So if you're just like getting started with penetration testing, you'd want to set the security level to low. So you just set the level to low and you can hit submit. So if, for example, if you wanted to test for SQL injection, we can just select the SQL injection page and we can just carry out something. So just like type ID and hit submit. I think, let me see. I think it should be. I'm doing something wrong there. Let's actually check the code. can always check the code down here, view the source code which you are actually exploiting. Oh, here it is. Let me drag it over. So this is actually the code that you'll be trying to exploit if you're carrying out something like SQL injection. Yeah, you can see these were the vulnerabilities here. You can see the ID, it has no, you don't like need to set, it has no like validation. So if we went back here and we set the, let's just close this page. Let's just say whether we are telling the database to retrieve user, let's say like user 1, just hit submit. You can see we got the user with ID 1 as first name is admin and surname is admin. And you can go on, user 2 is Gordon, user 3. Okay, I was not here to teach on DVWA. I was just giving you the capabilities you can use. You can like how much you can learn with Metasploitable 2. But actually, you don't. If your PC doesn't support virtualization, you can actually install DVWA as a standalone application. You'll need to I think you need to set up some PHP configurations and the database. So that's it. I think, guys, I'll stop it there. And yeah, let's call it a day. So any questions? I think, Nancy, you can take over.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tony, for the comprehensive session. I have used Metasploit for so long, but I've still learned something new. So I believe it's the same for everyone of us who is on call. So I don't know if there are any questions, but maybe you can reach out to Tony. Like I said, Tony is part of the team that leads the campus program. So you can reach out to us maybe if you have questions. You also mentioned that we have the Telegram group. You can join that. We share the slides there in case you have any question. You can reach out to him or to me and would be happy to get back. So I think we'll call it a night. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying throughout the session. And I wanted to remind you that we are having Hackfest. So please join us on Thursday. We'll be having Hackfest from 7 to 9. And it has been an amazing time since the beginning of the month. So please join us, be part of the conference. So I think we'll stop at that. Okay, Tony, someone is requesting for the link to the Telegram channel.
Let me see whether I can get it right now.
Okay. Okay, you can reach out to me personally and or to Tony, and we'll be able to share that. So thank you once again, everyone. See you on Thursday. And we also have another session next week. So see you on Thursday for the Hackfest, and good night.
Okay, thanks so much, guys, for joining. For the Telegram channel, I'm on Kali, so I don't have like Telegram here installed. So I think let me post it on Twitter. I think you can get it on Twitter also. I think, yeah, just search it, Tony Gidra. I'll post it there.
Awesome. So like he has said, Tony Gidraff on Twitter, you can reach out to him. So good night, everyone. Thank you once again. See you on Thursday.